That's 813-428-8686. LoanPronto.com. 813-428-8686. Equal Housing Lender. NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval.
Now, back to Real Raw Radio. Sponsored by Anajar and Levine. Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Now, back to the Mike Calta After Show. Happy Hour. Happy Hour. Happy Hot Topic.
See, you don't wanna dance. Yeah. So I'll make you dance. All I want is for you to use your imagination. That's all.
Welcome back to the Mike Calta After Show with Happy Hour filling in. I am your host, Happy Hoppy. Call the show at 727-579-1025 and 1-800-771-1025. You can tweet at me at Ryan Hoppy Radio. You can always email me, ryanhoppyradio@gmail.com. And as a quick reminder, you can listen to News with Galvin from today on the 1025 The Bone app, which you can get in the Google Play and iOS shop by searching up 1025 The Bone. And up next is Roger and JP, then it's Drew Garabo Live, A Cat Named Mo, and then Johnny B. And if you miss any of those shows, you can always listen on demand by getting the Bone app. So for all the info, once again, it's at theboneonline.com. I saw this headline here, and I don't know. I'm just a very former Roman Catholic kid where I never liked getting in trouble because my dad, who would have been 59 this week, so happy birthday, Dad, he would just come down on me very hard if I came home allegedly with my breath reeking of vodka, or if I was up too late, or one time he threw out Jersey Shore season 1. Like, he was very much like a hard ass. He was just Roman Catholic. So I never really got into the idea of being a criminal because I just didn't want to get in trouble with my dad. So when I see headlines like this, it fascinates me because it's like, what's different from my upbringing to another person's upbringing that would make them a criminal? Do you ever think about that? The fact that you don't choose to be on this planet, and two people, however you are created, if it's in a laboratory or very generic intercourse, that you had no choice to be here and you didn't choose who your parents are. So like, you could be born and be in a wheelchair, or you could be born a billionaire. It's very bizarre. So when I see this here, I go, man, I cannot relate to this. It says, big bust, and this is from TMZ.com. 2 men nabbed with enough fentanyl to kill 4.7 million people. And if you guys want to call in, you have any comments, 727-579-1025 and 1-800-771-1025. I just wonder, when you're committing crimes like that, and like, I'm not defending like an everyday average Joe drug dealer, but some might just be doing it to get by. But man, if you are looking at your warehouse or wherever you are keeping your fentanyl to kill 4.7 million people, like, at some point, you know you're going to get caught. And I don't know if that's just from an upbringing of not caring and not knowing where you're going with your life, but you would have to look at the product every single day, and I say product like I know about it, and just go, I'm going to get caught someday. And it's funny, I am really into crime shows, so I'm watching the Power universe. I'm on the third one, Raising Kanan, which is loosely based off of 50 Cent's life. I love The Wire, Sons of Anarchy, Sopranos. For some reason, I love crime shows. I don't like fantasy, I don't like sci-fi very much, but I love a good show about a gang. And what's funny is all these guys don't care. Like, they have either bad upbringings or they just don't care, and then they end up getting caught in the end. And it's just fascinating because when I watch these shows, I begin to think it's real life, and then I'll be driving to the gym, and I'm like, oh, I got to make sure that I don't have the product in the car. Then I'm like, shut up, Happy Hoppy. You are a 6'8" goofball that's going to the gym to get into shape. You don't have anything in your car. 727-579-1025, 1-800-771-1025. Police took in 36-year-old Edgar Alfonso Lamas and 53-year-old Carlos, and I'm not going to even try to say the last name, after authorities found 821 pounds of meth, nearly 190 pounds of cocaine, and 20 pounds of fentanyl pills. And what's crazy to think is 190 pounds is essentially how much I can bench press if I have a spotter, if I'm working out with my trainer. If I'm working out by myself, I don't do that because I don't want to hurt myself. But it's crazy to think that how much weight you can lift, that's how much they had with cocaine. As little as 2 milligrams of fentanyl is a lethal dose. The Orange County DA previously warned it would be cracking down on drug dealers, even saying murder charges would be on the table in cases involving drugs like fentanyl that all too often result in a person's death. And I mean, I don't know, I watch these crime shows and I read these articles and I'm completely fine with my boring life with my girlfriend and my 2 cats. And she's probably listening and going, how is our life boring? But it's so nice to just have this radio job, go to the gym. I love relaxing. It's probably because of my anxiety, but I love just sitting back and relaxing. And I can't imagine living a life where you always have to look over your shoulder and you always have to just wonder if that's going to be your last day, which I'm not saying drug dealers die and I'm not going to die, because we're all going to die. So in a way, you are always kind of looking over your back to make sure that the Grim Reaper doesn't come. But at the same time, they usually die in their 40s. I want to die when I'm 100 because I have an ego. Hi, you're on the air. Hello, sir. You are on 102.5 The Bone, Real Raw Radio. What's your name?
Jack.
What's happening, Jack?
Yeah, I got something to say about the fentanyl.
What's happening?
Anybody who deals in that, they should be locked up for a very long time.
I agree, but I think what happens is a lot of times they have a lot of, this is what I've picked up on the crime shows. Now, I know crime shows aren't in real life, but for what I've picked up is a lot of them have money because they've been dealing drugs. So a lot of times they can get elite lawyers that help them get away with it. But I don't know if that's real life.
Yeah, it could be. Just a few weeks ago, it was 3 weeks ago, I lost my granddaughter to fentanyl.
I'm so sorry, sir. Yeah, I know it's a very big epidemic, and how have you been coping? I'm sorry, my man.
The addicts, I mean, addiction is a disease. It is. And
yes, sir.
I do. But I want addicts to know that, their body is not an experiment. And when they go to looking for that next high, like in fentanyl or something, they're really, really playing with fire, and it's just not worth it. If they want to smoke some weed or whatever, that's fine, but stay away from that stuff. Just for you're going to kill yourself, and you're going to really hurt your family.
Well, my man, thank you for the call, and I'm going to give out this number. I just Googled fentanyl addiction hotline. If you are listening out there and you have an addiction, call 888-217-1962. That's 888-217-1962, and that is the fentanyl hotline, and you can always Google for help. Because, man, I did this thing recently that's very morbid, and it gives me pure anxiety. But I downloaded this app called We Croak, and the logo is a frog, and it tells you 5 times a day, you are going to die, and then you click on it, and it's got some deep quote about death. And that is probably the most frightening topic, and I know people listening right now don't want to hear about that, but we don't want to hear about it because we're in denial about it. So while you're on this planet, why not make the most of it? And while we are on this planet in our short lifetime, I will take this call, which I've never heard of this area code. It's the A14. Hi, you're on the air.
Hey, how's it going? This Pennsylvania is
nice. What's happening?
not much, man. Coming from a perspective of a recovering heroin addict, I do feel that these crimes should be punished, especially with the fentanyl. However, it has to be a case by case basis, though, man. Because like not a lot of people go out there and say, hey, you know, I always went looking for the stuff. You know what I mean? Nobody ever came knocking on my door saying, here, buy this fentanyl or buy this heroin.
What was I don't want to say breaking point, but what was the moment when you actually said, I want to get help?
Whenever my back was against the wall, my family had turned their back on me, and my kids didn't want nothing to do with me. I had no friends, no couches left to serve. Rehabs were closing their doors on me, and you know, I went to a free program and did it that way.
I'm sure there's listeners out there that may have an addiction, and I'm very sorry they're going through it, that are going, oh, I don't have a problem, or they're in denial, or they're getting annoyed because they're hearing you talk about what they're going through right now. So to the people out there, explain to them why they should get help and what the best way to is.
You get it. When you have a problem and you can finally admit it, that's, you know, you have to get help, because you can't change anything if you don't actually make some positive change. The best way to get help is to open up your mouth and ask for it. You know, whether you go to a hospital, a police station, crisis hotline, an AA meeting, an NA meeting, thousands of places out there where you can.
Well, my man, thank you for the call. And let's lighten up the mood real quick. How do you think the Rays will do this season? Do you watch baseball?
I'm not the hugest baseball fan, but I'm a perpetual optimist. I think the Rays are going to smash it.
Now, I want to ask you, too, real quick. I see this headline here from Fox 13 News. What do you think of this? The Atlanta Braves, they just won the World Series, so all 10 Braves fans care in Atlanta. They're selling a burger for $151, and it's not even big. How ridiculous do you find that?
I think that burger better give me a happy ending.
Hell yeah, bro. And we'll end it on that call. Thank you. 727-579-1025 and 1-800-771-1025. I love when baseball is like, why can't we get the everyday common man to care more about the sport in 2022? And then in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of everything, when people are barely having enough money to drive to a game, they're like, we're going to make the price of a gas tank for some people be a burger. Keep doing you, baseball. Hi, you're on the air.
Hey, what's up? Holly, this is Jeff.
What's happening, Jeff? I like your vibe. What's going on?
Hey, nothing much, man. Hey, I just wanted to say, well, first off, baseball is super boring.
Yep.
Back in the day, Baseball 2020 used to be on Super Nintendo and Sega.
Yeah.
The way they did it with different circle zones and everything, you catch it, it'd be 2 out versus, you know, maybe that's what they need to do.
Yeah, what's up?
Unfortunately, he lost, his daughter / niece, whatever. But, the problem is when everyone abuses the drugs and then the doctors don't give them to them, then the only choice they have is to go to the streets and try to find that stuff. You know, then that's where it gets, if they're buying pills or if they're buying heroin or if they're buying even cocaine, they're getting to that point, though, to where they don't know where it's coming from, what it's laced with, and that fentanyl is definitely very deadly.
Yeah, I mean, because when you're getting, and I'm not comparing medical weed to fentanyl, but at least if you're going to like True Leave or whatever, like that's been regulated and it's also weed. But like I can imagine if you're doing fentanyl, you don't know if it's laced with rat poison or whatever. That's the frightening part.
No. Also, Hoppy, when you guys went on your cruise, did you guys happen to find any pharmacies down there?
Yeah, we did. It was funny. It was like Klonopin, Viagra. And yeah. Mm-hmm. Alleged. Yeah. I'm sure he had a hard time that night. That was dumb. Thank you for the call, my man. And that's how we're going to end this show. Thank you for listening to Hoppe Hour, filling in for the Mike Calta After Show as Carmen is on a very well-deserved vacation in Mexico. And up next is Roger and JP. Then it's Drew Garabo live. Then it's a cat named Mo. Then it's Johnny B. And let me tell you, if you want to hear more of my rambling after you're done listening to The Bone, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, essentially all the platforms, all you got to do is search up Hoppe Radio, Hoppe Radio, and add me on social media, at Ryan Hoppe Radio. And final results from the poll about social media addiction from the first segment. 57.9% of people said that they don't have a social media addiction, and 42.1% said they do. And I want to thank John Brennan, the program director and an awesome boss from 1025 The Bone, for that idea, and I definitely will be doing polls. This has been Hoppe Hour, filling in for the after show. Up next is Roger and JP. Goodbye now.
Happy Hour. Happy Hour.